All right, everyone, get ready, because today we're going deep, really deep into BMP receptors.
Sounds good.
We're talking all about their role in development and regeneration. I know you guys listening want to get a solid grasp on BMP receptor biology, so
Of course, yeah.
that's what we're going to do. Like everything from the ligands they bind
All
to
right.
the signals they send, how they guide differentiation, their crucial role in bone and cartilage, and
Yeah,
even their applications in tissue engineering and in clinical settings.
it's a lot.
It's a pretty big task.
Yeah.
But luckily, I have an expert here to help us navigate this complex landscape. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it. BMP receptors are fascinating.
Yeah.
They're like tiny little antennas on the surface of our cells.
Okay.
They're constantly picking up signals from the environment, and then they tell the cell what to do.
So they're kind of like the cell's control panel,
Yeah.
receiving instructions and directing operations.
Right.
What kind of instructions are we even talking about here?
Well, the instructions come in the form of these signaling molecules called BMP ligands.
Okay.
You can think of them as like specialized messengers.
All right.
So when a BMP ligand binds to its receptor, it triggers a cascade of events inside the cell,
Oh, wow.
ultimately
Yeah.
leading to changes in gene expression.
Okay.
And this, in turn, determines the cell's fate, whether it divides or differentiates or even dies.
Okay, so it's like a chain reaction
Yeah.
with the BMP ligand setting everything in motion.
Right.
Can you tell us more about these BMP ligands?
Yeah.
What are they and like where do they come from?
So BMP stands for bone morphogenetic protein,
Okay.
which kind of gives away one of its major roles
what's
to
real?
bone development. But BMPs are actually part of a larger family
Oh, really?
called the transforming growth factor beta,
Okay.
or TGF beta superfamily.
Wow, whole superfamily.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty important. And to think these tiny molecules are orchestrating so much activity within our bodies.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
Crazy.
These ligands provide what we call morphogenic cues.
Okay.
Essentially, they provide instructions for cells to organize themselves into tissues and organs during development.
So morphogenic cues. So they're not just saying become a bone cell.
Right.
They're saying become a bone cell and go over there.
Exactly.
So it's like they're providing the blueprint for building our entire body.
Precisely.
Wow.
And they provide both spatial and temporal information,
Okay.
guiding cells to the right place at the right time.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this process of differentiation.
Okay.
We know BMPs are involved in guiding stem cells to become specialized cells,
Mm-hmm.
but how does that actually happen?
So remember that cascade of events that I mentioned?
Yes.
So that cascade activates specific signaling pathways within the cell,
Okay.
and that leads to the activation or suppression of particular genes.
Got it.
And these changes in gene expression ultimately dictate what type of cell the stem cell will become.
Got it.
It is a very complex process,
Yeah.
but we can think of it as like a series of switches being flipped on or off,
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Makes it easy.
guiding the cell down a specific developmental pathway.
So the BMP ligands are like the electricians.
Yes.
Flipping those genetic switches
Yes.
to guide the cell's destiny.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
It makes sense that this process is so tightly controlled,
Yeah,
considering how important it is for proper development.
absolutely.
And when it comes to development, we can't talk about BMP receptors
Right.
without diving into their role in bone and cartilage formation.
Exactly.
Right. After all, BMP stands for bone morphogenetic protein.
Mm-hmm.
So how exactly do these receptors contribute to building our skeletons?
So mesenchymal stem cells,
Okay.
these are the precursors to bone and cartilage cells,
Okay.
rely heavily on BMP signaling to know when and where to differentiate.
Got it.
The BMP ligands act like those construction foremen that we talked about earlier,
Yes.
directing these stem cells to migrate to the right location, and then telling them to start building either bone or cartilage.
So those signals are literally shaping our skeletons as we grow.
Yes.
It's incredible how these tiny molecules are coordinating such a complex process.
Yeah, it really is.
And it doesn't stop there, right?
It doesn't.
These receptors continue to play a crucial role throughout our lives, especially when it comes to tissue regeneration and repair.
Right.
Wait, so even after we're all grown up, those BMP receptors are still hard at work.
They are.
What are they doing in adults?
So they're involved in everything, from wound healing to bone fracture repair.
Okay.
For instance, when you break a bone, BMP signaling kicks into gear,
Oh, wow.
promoting the formation of new bone tissue to bridge the gap.
So it's like those BMP ligands are calling in the repair crew.
Yeah.
To fix the damage.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
They're essential for our body's ability to regenerate and maintain tissues throughout our lives.
Yeah.
And this incredible regenerative potential has sparked a lot of interest in the field of tissue engineering.
Tissue engineering. I was wondering when we'd get to that.
Yeah.
I've heard amazing things about using BMPs to grow new tissues in the lab
Yeah.
and even to potentially regenerate organs.
Right. It's a rapidly evolving field
Yeah,
with immense potential.
for sure.
Scientists are exploring ways to manipulate BMP signaling to stimulate tissue regeneration, create scaffolds for tissue growth, and even develop biomaterials that mimic the natural environment for tissue development.
This is where it gets really interesting. Imagine the possibilities.
I know.
Growing new cartilage to repair damaged joints.
Right.
Creating bone grafts for complex fractures.
Yeah.
Even potentially engineering entire organs for transplantation.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like science fiction.
It does.
It's becoming a reality thanks to our understanding of BMP receptors.
It truly is remarkable how far we've come in understanding and harnessing these signaling pathways.
For sure.
And this knowledge has already led to some impactful clinical applications.
Okay, let's talk about those applications. We've touched on bone healing, but what other ways are BMPs being used in medicine today?
So one prominent example is the use of recombinant BMPs.
Okay.
These are basically lab-grown versions of these proteins,
Okay.
and they're used in spinal fusion surgeries.
Oh, wow.
These BMPs are used to promote bone growth and fusion between vertebrae,
Okay.
helping to stabilize the spine.
So we're talking about using these BMPs to help people regain mobility
Yes.
and alleviate pain.
Exactly.
That's incredible. And it all stems from understanding these tiny receptors on our cells.
Exactly. It highlights the profound impact that basic science research can have on developing life-changing therapies.
Yeah.
And this is just the beginning. As our understanding of BMP receptors and their intricate signaling pathways deepens, we can anticipate even more groundbreaking applications in the future.
This is truly fascinating stuff. Before we get too carried away with the future, though, let's make sure we haven't lost our listener in all this molecular talk.
Right?
What are the key takeaways you want them to remember about BMP receptors so far?
Great point. First and foremost, DMP receptors are essential for embryonic development.
Okay.
They act like conductors, orchestrating the complex process of cell differentiation and tissue formation that ultimately shapes our bodies.
And we can't forget their vital role in bone and cartilage development. Those signals are literally building our skeletons from the ground up.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And their role doesn't end there.
Right.
BMP receptors are crucial for tissue regeneration and repair throughout our lives, contributing to wound healing and bone fracture repair, among other processes.
Right. And as we've learned, this incredible regenerative power is being harnessed in the field of tissue engineering, opening up exciting possibilities for treating injuries and diseases that were once considered incurable.
Exactly. And we've even seen how this knowledge has translated into real-world clinical applications, like the use of recombinant BMPs in spinal fusion surgeries.
So listener, I hope you're as amazed as I am by the world of BMP receptors. We've covered a lot of ground, but we're just getting started.
There's still so much to explore. For instance, we haven't even touched on the different types of BMP receptors or the specific signaling pathways they activate.
Okay, you've officially piqued my curiosity. I'm ready to dive even deeper into this intricate world of BMP signaling.
Great, then let's move on to part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll delve into the complexities of BMP regulation and explore what happens when these signaling pathways go awry. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of BMP receptors.
It's amazing how these tiny receptors can have such a huge impact on our bodies,
Yeah,
from shaping our skeletons to healing our wounds.
it really is.
It's incredible.
But as with any powerful system,
Yeah.
there needs to be a way to regulate BMP signaling to ensure that it doesn't go into overdrive.
Right, because we wouldn't want uncontrolled bone growth or cells differentiating into the wrong types.
Yeah.
What kind of mechanisms are in place to keep things in check?
Well, one of the key players in regulating BMP signaling is a group of molecules called antagonists.
Okay.
These molecules act like brakes on the system, preventing the BMP signals from going haywire.
Antagonists.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like they have a pretty important job.
They do.
How do they actually work to inhibit BMP signaling?
So they can interfere with the binding of BMP ligands to their receptors,
Okay.
or they can block downstream signaling events within the cell.
Got it.
Think of it like a complex dance, with the BMP ligands and antagonists constantly interacting to fine-tune the signaling output.
So it's not just a simple on-off switch. It's
Yeah.
more like a dimmer switch, with the antagonists adjusting the intensity of the BMP signal.
That's a great analogy.
I try.
These antagonists are crucial for ensuring that BMP signaling happens at the right place,
Okay.
at the right time, and at the right level.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what happens when this delicate balance goes wrong?
Right.
We've talked about the amazing things BMPs can do, but are there downsides to having too much or too little BMP signaling?
Absolutely. Imbalances in BMP signaling can have a variety of consequences.
Like what?
For example, too much BMP signaling can lead to abnormal bone growth, or even the formation of bone in places where it shouldn't be.
Oh, I'm picturing bone spurs and other skeletal abnormalities. That doesn't sound pleasant.
Not at all.
No.
On the other hand, too little BMP signaling can disrupt embryonic development,
Okay.
leading to birth defects or other developmental problems.
So it's like walking a tightrope. Too far in either direction can have serious consequences.
Right.
This makes me think about diseases. Could disruptions in BMP signaling be involved in certain medical conditions?
You're spot on. Dysregulation of BMP signaling has been implicated in a wide range of diseases, from skeletal disorders to cancer.
Cancer. That's a pretty big leap from bone development.
It is.
How can BMP signaling be involved in something as complex as cancer?
Well, in some cases, cancer cells can hijack the BMP signaling pathway, essentially turning it on or off to their advantage.
So they're manipulating the system to help them grow and spread.
Yes.
That's pretty sneaky.
It is. For example, some cancer cells produce excessive amounts of BMP ligands,
Okay.
stimulating their own growth and proliferation.
Okay.
In other cases, cancer cells might suppress the production of BMP antagonists,
Okay.
removing the brakes on BMP signaling and allowing them to grow unchecked.
Wow, so it's like those cancer cells are figuring out how to rewire the control panel to suit their own needs?
Yeah.
That's a scary thought.
It is, but understanding how BMP signaling is dysregulated in cancer can also provide valuable insights for developing new therapies.
Okay, that's a more hopeful perspective.
Right.
So if we can figure out how cancer cells are manipulating BMP signaling, could we potentially develop drugs to block those manipulations and stop the cancer in its tracks?
Exactly. Researchers are actively exploring ways to target BMP signaling pathways in cancer, either by blocking overactive signaling or restoring normal signaling in cases where it's been suppressed.
That's really exciting. It sounds like understanding BMP signaling could be a game changer in the fight against cancer.
It holds immense promise, and it's not just limited to cancer. Researchers are also investigating the therapeutic potential of manipulating BMP signaling in other diseases, such as osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, and even heart disease.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as a receptor on a cell surface can have such far-reaching implications for our health.
It speaks to the interconnectedness of biological systems,
Yeah.
and it highlights the importance of basic science research in paving the way for new and innovative therapies.
Okay, we've talked about how BMP signaling is regulated, and we've touched on some of the consequences when things go wrong.
Right.
Is there anything else you want to highlight about the complexities of this pathway before we move on?
Yes, there's one more crucial aspect of BMP receptors that we need to discuss: their role in cellular communication.
Cellular communication. I thought we were already talking about that. With BMP ligands acting as signals, what's different here?
Well, BMP receptors don't just receive signals from BMP ligands.
Yeah.
They also interact with other signaling pathways in a complex network of crosstalk.
Crosstalk. It sounds like there's a lot of chatter going on inside our cells.
There is. It's not just one pathway operating in isolation.
Wow.
BMP signaling is integrated with other pathways, like those involved in cell growth, differentiation, and even the body's response to stress.
It's like a bustling city with different signaling pathways all interacting and influencing each other.
Exactly.
That's a lot going on.
It is.
So much to keep track of.
And understanding these interactions is crucial for gaining a complete picture of how BMP signaling works in the context of the whole organism, for instance.
Yeah.
Did you know that mechanical forces, like the stress on our bones, can actually influence BMP signaling?
Wait, really? So the way we use our bodies can actually impact these signaling pathways?
Precisely. This is why exercise is so important for maintaining bone health. It stimulates BMP signaling, helping to keep our bones strong.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It really highlights how interconnected everything is within our bodies.
Yeah, for sure.
And it opens up a whole new avenue for potential therapeutic interventions, for example.
Yeah.
Researchers are investigating ways to use mechanical stimulation, like ultrasound,
Okay.
to enhance BMP signaling and promote bone healing.
So we could potentially use physical therapies to boost these natural healing processes.
Yes, it's an exciting area of research with immense potential.
That's incredible.
And it all stems from understanding the intricate interplay between BMP signaling and other cellular processes.
I think our listeners are ready to test their knowledge and ask some questions.
I agree.
Are you ready to dive into those too?
Absolutely, bring them on.
Okay, let's see what questions our listeners have about BMP receptors.
Sounds good. This is where we really get to test our understanding.
All right, here's a great one to start. If BMPs are already being used in spinal fusion surgeries to promote bone healing,
Yeah.
why aren't we seeing more widespread applications? What are the limitations holding us back?
That's a very insightful question, and it gets to the heart of the challenges in translating scientific discoveries into practical therapies.
Yeah.
While the potential of BMPs is huge, there are still hurdles to overcome.
So what are those hurdles? Is it a matter of production? Like
Mhm.
difficulty manufacturing large quantities of these recombinant BMPs?
Production is certainly a factor. Maintaining the purity and activity of these proteins while scaling up production
Yeah.
can be complex and costly, but that's not the only challenge.
I imagine dosage is critical too.
Right.
We talked about the problems of too much or too little BMP signaling.
Yeah.
How do you even find that sweet spot?
You're absolutely right. Determining the optimal dose is critical, and it can vary depending on the specific application and the individual patient.
Right.
Too much BMP could lead to excessive bone growth,
Yeah.
while too little might not be effective.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
What about getting those BMPs to the right place in the body?
Right.
That seems like it could be tricky too. Yeah.
Delivery is a major area of research.
What?
We need effective methods to target the BMPs precisely to the site of injury or disease. Simply injecting them into the bloodstream isn't always sufficient.
So researchers are developing new delivery systems, like tiny capsules or scaffolds,
Yes.
that can release BMPs in a controlled manner.
Exactly. The goal is to maximize therapeutic benefit while minimizing off-target effects.
That makes sense. It sounds like a lot of exciting research is underway to address these limitations and unlock the full potential of BMPs. Let's move on to another listener question. What are the ethical considerations surrounding the use of BMPs in tissue engineering? Are there any concerns about manipulating these powerful signaling pathways?
That's an incredibly important question. It highlights the need for a careful consideration of the potential implications of these technologies.
I can imagine concerns about unintended consequences, especially when we're talking about manipulating processes that are so fundamental to our development.
Yes, we need to be mindful of the potential for both positive and negative outcomes. For example, if we can accelerate bone healing or regenerate cartilage,
Yeah.
it's crucial to think about responsible use and potential for misuse.
Right. It's important to ensure these technologies are used for the benefit of all, not just for enhancing performance or gaining an unfair advantage in certain fields.
Exactly. Open dialogue and collaboration between scientists, ethicists, policymakers, and the public are essential as these technologies advance.
Let's take one final question. Given the complexity of BMP signaling and its interactions with other pathways, how can we even begin to understand it all?
It's true that cellular signaling can seem incredibly complex, but scientists are developing increasingly sophisticated tools and approaches to unravel these intricate networks.
Are we talking about supercomputers crunching massive amounts of data?
Computational modeling plays a crucial role, but it's not just about computers.
Okay.
We also need advanced experimental techniques to study these pathways in living cells and organisms.
It's like trying to understand a city by observing traffic patterns,
Yeah.
analyzing communication networks, and studying the interactions between different systems.
That's a great analogy, and it requires collaboration between scientists from diverse disciplines, from molecular biologists to engineers to computer scientists.
It's a massive team effort, but the potential rewards are enormous.
Absolutely. By understanding these intricate signaling pathways, we can not only develop new therapies, but also gain a deeper understanding of the fundamental processes that govern life itself.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. We've taken you on quite a journey today,
Yeah.
exploring the fascinating world of BMP receptors. These tiny molecular machines play a crucial role in shaping our bodies, healing our wounds, and even contributing to disease when things go awry.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you.
It's been great having you on.
And remember, the world of cellular signaling is constantly evolving. As we continue to explore these intricate pathways, we'll undoubtedly uncover even more amazing secrets about the inner workings of our cells.
So keep that curiosity burning, listener. There's a whole universe of knowledge waiting to be discovered right here within us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of BMP receptors.